Hi. Now this video is about the UFO abduction. So the Phoenix Lights UFO abduction experience that I had on March 13th, 1997. Now it was a huge mothership that went across the mountains over to Camelback Mountain. So from another city, it flew very low where everybody could see it. Okay, so and they called out to everybody to come outside to see it. So the mothership called out to thousands and thousands of people to come out and see the mothership stop above my house. And so here it is. Here you can see that it's on the news, and I wrote a book about it, well, in the back of my book, but this is about how to get to the promised land, how to get out of the matrix that we're in, going into the promised land. So my abduction, Phoenix Light abduction story goes with me writing this book. So, so this is what happened.
The largest mass UFO sighting ever witnessed over America. March 13th, 1997. The skies above Arizona ignite.
Major sighting here.
Now, while that was happening, I was being abducted. So it went over the house, went over the mountain ridge really slow where everybody could see it, and it didn't stop until it got to my house, and then it lowered itself down to where it called me out, and when that, to come out, so I can get abducted or whatever. So, but while I was in the house cooking, people were seeing this thing go over their house. Even the governor, they called the governor out to come see it, and this is what happened.
Fiery globes seen by thousands.
They started multiplying. One light became two lights, a third, a fourth.
Reports of an ultra-silent aircraft, seemingly as large as a battleship.
It was so big, I could not see the front, the back, side to side of this craft.
It was the size of a city. So it covered the entire sky about time I got outside. And I'll tell you what happened to me after we hear this.
Over 1,000 years old show a pattern.
It looks like a saucer with fire.
Or could it be a top-secret government program?
There are large vehicles that fit the descriptions you heard.
And what does the state's former governor now say?
I described what I saw as being otherworldly.
This is case number 97202, Arizona Lights.
Now, I told MUFON about it, and, they didn't want to do it. They did it, so many interviews on me, sent somebody, but they didn't put it on
something is
TV or
happening, and I'll go to my death
I wonder
knowing
why.
that what I saw was true.
Thousands of people all over Arizona saw something that night.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. What did she say? She said what?
Is happening, and I'll go to my death knowing that what I saw was true.
Thousands of people all over Arizona saw something that night.
I believe the Phoenix Lights are real, and that's a fact.
And it only picked me up. It came just for me. Yes. Yes. And why is that? Because when I told MUFON, they didn't do an interview on me or nothing. See, but they can witness everybody and try to do interviews on everybody. But when the victim comes to the UFO researcher itself, and then the UFO researcher hides the information, then you know that it's real, and that it was only about me. Yeah, that whole thing was only about letting everybody know in Arizona that they came for a certain person. And if it was a white woman, of course, obviously, she would have had television interviews, and she did. There was one woman who never got picked up. She just saw it, and they put a whole 3-hour special on this hoe about her just seeing it go by. But here I am, got abducted right on the corner of 7th Avenue in Roma, missed at least about 6 hours of missing time. Don't know what, you know what I'm saying? And they interviewed me to see what happened. And that was it. And then they said, okay, you have to get under hypnosis so we can, no, I'm not going under hypnosis. You have to tell me who, and what I wanted to know was who else was abducted besides me? Besides me, what happened? Who was on the ship and what happened? And they said, you're the only one. And that's why we need to get that information. It's like, oh no, that's okay. But because I don't want them to know, you know, maybe they don't, maybe they're not supposed to know. That's personal.
Evening of March 13th, 1997.
That's
Residents throughout Phoenix, Arizona are outside looking skyward. A large number of spectators are there to gaze at the Hale-Bopp comet, a comet last seen more than 2,000 years ago. But instead, something else appears in the darkness. Something quite unexpected. A mass sighting that came to be known as the Phoenix Lights.
What people saw on March 13th, 1997 put Hale-Bopp to shame.
really. They wanted everybody to see who they come to see.
Is the videotape footage of
They came to
anomalous
see
lights that
the
appeared
black
over
woman.
Phoenix around 10 p.m. According to eyewitnesses, the lights seen are red or orange in color and appear to blink on.
They also, very interestingly, describe them as hovering or maintaining altitude. They don't seem to descend over time.
But the 10 o'clock lights are only part of a complicated story. Earlier that same evening, reports flood in from across the state of additional sightings. Some describe a V-shaped formation of lights, while others claim they see an actual boomerang-shaped craft. According to the eyewitnesses, what is seen in the skies above Arizona is absolutely enormous. Reports describe the craft as being nearly a mile wide. At times, it hovers silently in the night sky, but it is also capable of achieving incredible speeds. Clearly, this massive craft is unlike anything known to exist.
The people who watched it were actually in shock.
I got that one on the video.
The boomerang is allegedly spotted as early as 7:55 p.m. in Henderson, Nevada, then in Halden, Arizona at 8:15, Prescott at 8:17, Phoenix at 8:30, and Tucson at 8:45. No images of this massive craft are known to exist. Are these separate sightings or different aspects of the same event? The investigation aims to find the answers to the numerous events in Arizona's crowded skies. Pat Husker will uncover local history of UFO sightings in the Phoenix area.
I think we're really talking about something that is either so top secret that it's decades ahead of what we know, or we're looking at a genuine extraterrestrial visitation here.
Dr. Ted Ackworth will examine the video evidence of the 10 o'clock lights.
And now, when I told Mufont this, that I was abducted by the Phoenix Lights, you know, it's funny how they know this information. And, you know, I had someone to interview me like 3 times just to tell me to get the under hypnosis. But I was never like interviewed like, you know, like this, where people would be, you know, talking and stuff like that on TV and stuff. So it's funny how they try to kind of suppress me, but they'll let other people, you know, speak and talk and like, oh, we saw it go by, but it's like, damn, that's all you saw? That's it? Because I'll tell you what happened to me.
And will conduct an experiment to replicate the event.
One thing I want to look at closely is the dynamic aspect of these lights, how they move or don't move through the night sky.
And Bill Burns will analyze the nature of the alleged boomerang craft.
A lot of people say that the craft over Phoenix that night at 8 o'clock was an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
The investigation has enlisted the help of documentary filmmaker James Fox. He has been chasing this mystery since 1997.
I have been investigating this for quite some time. Something very large flew over the state of Arizona, and to this day it remains inexplicable.
Yes, and it only came for me. That's what's so incredible about it. Like it only came for, and maybe it didn't come for me because
Lights in the sky
maybe
over
MUFON don't
Phoenix are
know
nothing
that it
new.
came for other people.
Carved into these mountain rocks are ancient clues that the Hohokam Indians may have seen UFOs more than 1,000 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going into some Hopi Indians. Let me tell you what happened to me about this Phoenix Lights. Okay, so I don't know whether it was around 6:45 or 8:45. I don't know, but all I know is I was cooking. I never forget what I was cooking. I was cooking fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. I remember it to the day like as if it happened yesterday. Okay, so I was cooking March 13th, and right when I put the skillet this way, no, right when I turned off the stove and turned the skillet this way so the kids won't knock it over, both of my children came running in the house. And they said, Mommy, Mommy. As soon as I went like, turned off the stove and went like that, boom, they came running in the house. That's interesting. That means they waited for me. That means they were looking at me. They were looking at me when I turned it off. Boom, they had the kids to come in. And it was all a setup. Okay, because I have to look back at it now and I'm looking at what happened. So when the kids came running in, they said, Mommy, Mommy, there's no more stars in the sky. So I was like, ooh. So I run outside to see what they're talking about. And as soon as I go outside, I look up and they were right. There was no more stars in the sky. It was completely dark. And I looked closely. And when I looked closely, it was nuts and bolts and rods connecting to nuts and bolts and squares and rods connecting to squares and rods. A perfectly well-made car. Like somebody put a huge car in the sky. And and I said, "Oh, it's a car. Oh, well, oh, just somebody got a big huge helicopter car in the sky." That's what I thought. I thought somebody put a helicopter car that covered the entire sky in the sky. They just put it there. And then I said, "Oh, well, who the hell would put a well-made car in the sky?" Because it never dawned on me what it was. So so I'm in my right mind, like, oh, this is interesting. Well, this is interesting. Who? And I'm like, well, wow, who would put a car in the sky? It. So I said, oh, now as I'm about to go down the street to see, or to the corner to see how far this thing goes, I hear my children, and they're saying, "Oh, well, that's weird, Mom. It's kind of scary." And I was like, "No, how is it scary? It's just a car in the sky. It's not scary." And they're like, "Ooh, I want to go in the house." Like they were talking like that, and that's weird. My kids would never talk like that if I'm not fearful, because I'm not afraid. So why would they talk like that? So they're hinting around that, "Oh, this is kind of creepy. I'm gonna go in the house." That they would never talk like that. They would just be like, "Oh, well, what is it, Mother? What is it? Oh." And then so I said, "Oh, I don't know, but I'm gonna go run down to the corner to see how far this thing goes." So as I'm going, I stop and I look. I'm like, "Damn, well, what is it?" And as I'm looking at it, the kids are still all the way down there saying, "Oh, well, I'm not going down there." That's how their attitude is. "Okay, you go down there, Mom. I'm not going." See, that's not them. They wouldn't do that. But I didn't pay attention. But those are my kids were little. They were like 5 and 7. They would have been right here with me, running down to the corner with me, but they didn't. They stayed right there over there by the door. So anyway, I didn't catch that though until later. So as I go down to, no, that's right. So when I stopped and said, "Oh, well, what is it?" In my voice, in my head, something said, uh, "Go on and see how far this thing goes. It's just us. It's no big deal. I want to see how far this thing goes." Just like that, in my head. And it was like as if either my mother, like, because it sounded like my mother, because we have the same kind of voice. It sounded either like my mother or me. I know it sounds like my voice was saying it, but I don't know. It was just weird, but it made me feel like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. It's just y'all. So I run down to the corner. Like, what you mean just y'all? But so I run down to the corner because it was no big deal to me. Okay, somebody put a car in the sky. Okay, whatever. So I go down there to see, and I'm like, wow. And I noticed, because I don't see any lights. You know how everybody else sees the lights? I didn't see not one light. I didn't see no lights or anything like that. because I was directly underneath it. They saw the lights from the outside perimeter of it. I was underneath the thing where you can't see any lights, well, at least where I was at. So the thing reached all the way down to another city called Camelback Mountain. And I was amazed by it. I said, wow, this thing reaches all the way down Camelback Mountain. Wow. And as I went like, wow, I was telling my daughters that, wow, this thing reaches. And then my oldest one said, and she's 7, and she said, oh, well, I'm going to go in the house. And she starts to walk like, and now as soon as she, and then my daughter, my other little daughter, followed right behind her and went in the house. And the moment she said that, I went, oh, and I went, oh, shit, they got me. I said it just like that. Because I knew from there that it was a mothership. It was a spaceship and a mothership, and it came just for me. Because why would my daughter say, oh, well, I'm going to go in the house, when they're the ones that came and got me and told me that there was no more stars in the sky, and they were all excited about it. But then all of a sudden, you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go in the house. And then she had a look on her face like she really didn't want to go in the house. So the moment that I looked at her, I went, oh, and I knew from there, like, who is telling you to go in the house? Oh, it must be a mothership. Oh, Lord, they got me. That's what all went through my mind when Kathy said, when my daughter said that. She said that, and I was like, okay, so I was shocked. So from there, I was like, ah. So I just stood there right in the corner because I knew they had me, and I was by myself. And then everything was going in slow motion. So I knew that they caught me. Like, I can't run, I can't go nowhere. Now, people say, well, why was you scared? Well, for one, I did not know it was a mothership, and I never thought about spaceships before in my life. Never thought about that until that moment. And still, and then when I found out what it was, I was not necessarily frightened, but like felt like, oh no, like here we go again. Like, and then now that I think about it, like, what you mean? Here we go again. Oh, so this happened before? See, because when Kathy said that, and I went, oh, and I went, oh shit, they got me. I knew that I was, gonna be taken up. I just didn't know. Because in my mind, I thought I'd never been in a spaceship, in a mothership before. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know. So of course I'm just like, damn, and I'm in my right mind. I'm not scared or anything. I just feel like that they got me and that I'm gonna be taken up. So at that moment, I said, oh shit, they got me. And then I just stood there trying to figure out how I was gonna run because the door was this way. To get to the door, I had to run this way. So I was gonna turn to make a run for it, to run to the door, but I didn't even move. I just moved my eyes. And when I moved my eyes this way to run, and what I was trying to run was I was trying to get in the house to not be under it. I didn't want to be under this thing because I don't know if it was going to pick me up or not. I don't know what it was going to do, whatever. I mean, I knew it was going to pick me up. I just didn't want it to pick me up, I guess. That's probably what it was. I just didn't want, and I knew it was going to pick me up because, well, why would you pull me out why would you have me to come all the way down to the corner? I'm by myself. There's cars going by, but why are they going in slow motion? Why, why can't I hear a pin drop? But like when I was at the corner, you can hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. But this is a normal busy street. Why is it that the cars is going real slow? Why is that if it's a motor running, it's real loud? Because you're under, the sound is hitting against this mothership, so it's real kind of loud. I'm like, oh, this is okay. So I knew that I knew that I was being got. So I had to stand here and just be like, wow. Now, while I was standing, looking this way to make a run for it, it suddenly started to get dark. Like it was like darkness was covering over me, and then I blanked out within that darkness. So I blanked out, and I don't know what happened to me after that. I don't know how I got in the house, but But years later, I found out, 13 years later, I found out what happened to me was when I saw the story about the Phoenix Lights. And I said, oh my, and everything came flooded back to me because, well, after that incident happened to me, I could not remember that it happened until 13 years later. Now, when I called MUFON about it, they said that is very common. That is so common. People call us and they write to us all the time and they say, oh my God, I can't explain to you what happened, but something happened to me like 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And why am I remembering it now? You see what I'm saying? And they said, we can't tell you how many people called about that. You're one out of 50,000 that said the same shit. I'm like, oh my God. So I said, okay, I don't know. All I know is I remember. And they said the reason why you remember is because they are letting you remember, because you have to remember for a certain time that's going to come ahead. We don't know. That's why we want you to get the hypnosis. If we can get you under hypnosis, we can tell you exactly what's going to happen to everyone. I was like, oh, yeah, about that. See, I don't want them knowing nothing what I know because, well, shit, what if, I don't know. Anyway, so I said, okay, well, no, I'm not going to go into hypnosis. I don't know, whatever. You have to figure out what's going to happen to you in the end, but maybe they just don't want me to know. But anyway, so after that, memories started coming back. So anyway, I called my daughter as soon as I remembered. I said, oh my God. So I called my daughter, the one that said, well, I'm gonna go in the house. I called her and I said, do you remember? And then she said, oh my God, I remember. How come we didn't talk about it? That's what she said. She said, how come we didn't talk about it when right after it happened? I said, I don't know. What happened? What did I do? She said, and both of them said it. They said, when you came in the house and you started to close the shades and you said not to go to the windows. I said, well, was I mad, happy? So then you were happy. And I know why I was happy, because when I got off that mothership, I felt like something was going to happen to a certain race of people, and it was going to be really, really bad. And it was where it was supposed to happen to these people. And it was like as if, you know how a huge big bully was bullying people for so many years, and finally the bully is going to get a good whooping. That's how I came off that mothership. I was like, ooh, somebody finna be, oh my, it's gonna be, somebody finna get it. And I felt like I was so happy that it wasn't me. That was my whole thing, was that, oh, thank God. It's not me. Oh Lord, but whatever is gonna happen to somebody, it's gonna be real bad. And now I know what it is now. See, when I came off there, when I was on the mothership, they let me know all that what was gonna happen. You know, the boom boom and all that, all the depopulation and all that. And they told me who was gonna die and who wasn't and all this stuff. And when I came off that ship, I came off the ship happy, very, very relieved that if there was because that's how I felt. I felt like it was like 400 years slavery was going to be ended, and that it had nothing to do with the Most High God children, and that we were going to be watching somebody I mean, it's, you know how a big bully been bullying somebody for 400 years and they finna get a whooping. That's what I saw. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a huge 400-year slavery bully get beat to where it's like, ooh, damn, now that's some brutal shit right there. That's how I felt. And that's why I was close and said, oh, that shit. Because when I came in there, I said, ooh, y'all don't go to the windows, but bam, somebody finna get fucked up around this bitch. That's what I said. I said, ooh, somebody get messed up. Somebody finna get messed up. Like, I don't know. and I knew it was the heathens and it was the Gentiles. And what we're going through right now, this is what it is. Now we haven't seen what I seen that made me go, oh my God, it's gonna be so bad. We're gonna have to get somewhere, y'all. Okay, we're not there yet. Okay, that's why I think I'm coming about right now, where you guys have to support me so we can get these Jetsons, so we can travel to our promised lands and get safe. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because I mean, if it's gonna be some some depopulation going on and stuff, and and you live around it, right next door to it, you might want to get somewhere. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But let's just go ahead and but oh, that's right. They went on to some other Hopi Indian stuff because they didn't see. They don't know what happened. They didn't interview me. You want to know why they didn't interview me? Because they don't want me to. They know why these motherships is coming. They know exactly why these motherships is coming because it was if it was coming for them, they would have had movies about how they finna get picked up and how the rapture's gonna happen. And Paul Bailey is still believing he gonna get raptured. Oh no 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 boo boo, your rapture is that vroom vroom. That's your rapture. That's his rapture. Ooh you, and he gonna talk about the 144,000. How? The 144,000 is the motherships coming to pick up black people who ain't trying to see all what's going to happen to you, Mr. Paul Bagley, and your people. We see, and it's going to be people like what's his name, the boy that talk about black women real bad. They gonna be left behind here. They gonna be getting chased by what's coming. Black men, like those Hebrew Israelites and all them people that hate black women, they're gonna be chased. And let me tell you why they're gonna be chased. Because they have to be taught a lesson that if you talk about the black woman, right, you're talking about the hand that you're biting the hand that feeds you. The black woman preceded you, and they are the predominant race in the whole entire universe.